Are you putting yourself in a box without realizing it? Hello, you neurospicy, multi-passionate, beautiful human you. Welcome to today's chat. This one's a little different. My inner being said it's time to make this one, so here we are. And while we've talked about a little bit of this stuff before, we're gonna dive a little bit deeper. This one's especially for my neurospicy friends, although really in today's world, it's really easy for just about anybody to get caught up in this one thing. Labels. Labels are really, really helpful when you first find out something about yourself and gives you a little bit of understanding and ways to maneuver that are different from your old way of believing about yourself and your old way of doing things. For example, if you're neurospicy, if you've grown up your whole life and never really fit in and you had trouble socially and you had these quirks and things like that, and you learned early on how to mask, right? How to fit in so that way you didn't get thrown out of the tribe. And then, especially if you're diagnosed later on in life, this is particularly common for women to be diagnosed as neurospicy later in life because we never portrayed some of the common neurospicy things that boys did as children, and they just sort of made excuses for it or explained it away and never really dug into it. And so then when we're older and we get diagnosed, and then we have an understanding, right? It makes it easier for us. Oh, I have ADHD. Oh, I'm autistic. Oh, I have Asperger's. I know that's not really a thing anymore. They've just lumped it up with anything else. Oh, I've got OCD. All of these other things. Oh, and here for the neurotypical people, I'm introverted or I'm extroverted because that's what we've been told our whole life. That's how we functioned through our whole life. And typically, especially with the extrovert and introvert, everybody's on a spectrum. Sometimes people are extroverted in social situations because that's what they've learned. But really, they lean more towards introverted, or being extroverted in social situations means that they need like a day or two to recoup after being so social. Or maybe you were told that you were introverted all of your life, or you believed that about yourself. But maybe it was just that you didn't ever find yourself in a right group of people to be able to step into that extrovert self. A lot of things like this, there are a spectrum. Just like if you're neurospicy, it's a spectrum, right? You might find yourself being able to completely unmask with certain people, and for most of your life, you've had to mask with other people or the bulk of society to fit in. The first step is awareness. So being able to have a label or something that gives you understanding and something that you can tell other people that helps them understand almost immediately that part about yourself, then that makes it easier for them and you guys can interact better. That's one thing. The one caution I want to give you is that you don't continue to carry on a label that then makes it harder for you to continue to push growth edges and to learn and to expand. For example, the bulk of my life, I believed I was an introvert. Any kind of social situations, I was always more of a wallflower. I was never really one to like boldly step up and talk to people and things like that. And yeah, it could have been that I never was diagnosed as being neurospicy, right? And now that I'm 43 and I've been experiencing different things and immersing myself into different kinds of situations, I have figured out that I am not necessarily an introvert. I am not a wallflower. That's not who I came here to be. That's just how my childhood programming and the way society and the way my upbringing was led me to believe. And if I had believed and I held on to that label that I was introverted, I would have never gone and flown to Arizona to meet my school friends that I did last month. I would have never situated a house for my school friends, some of the women, and I to stay at said event. I would not have been talking to people that I didn't know. I would have just been along the wall and not really talking, which is not really how I am online, which is a lot of us, I find, especially if we're neurospicy or we're introverted more in real life, we're a lot more extroverted online because there's a buffer, right? But I knew that I wanted to push my growth edges. And so I refused to let that circulate in my brain. Oh, I'm introverted. It's okay. I don't need to participate. I don't need to do this. I shouldn't record this video for this ad content with all these people watching me. And it's the same thing that happened that I've talked about before in a previous business, where I was doing fine and I was growing, but I knew that if I would go live on that other community platform, that I could expand and radically change how fast I was growing if I chose to go live. So I had to choose that I was going to dip my toes in and do the hard thing, even though I had never done it before and I was scared to death and I had no idea what was going to happen. But by choosing in and pushing that growth edge, I grew that business to 6 figures. And if I would have never gone live, I wouldn't have done that. So those are just 2 quick examples of my own personal life where it was imperative for me to make sure that what was happening in my brain and what I had believed and been told my whole life wasn't going to affect what I wanted to dip my toes into, what I wanted to push the growth edges on. And same deal with me being neurospicy. And sometimes the things that I say and sometimes the things that I make posts about and things that how my brain operates, it doesn't really resonate with everyone in the mainstream population, but I'm also okay with that. I'm okay with being me. I'm okay with being messy. I'm okay with dipping my toes in and showing everybody, yeah, sure, just why I labeled my first YouTube video ever, right? 6 months ago, 5 months ago, something like that, my first ever long form, the worst YouTube video I will ever create. Because it was my first one and I kind of took the pressure off of it. And it's just the same with anything new that you're going to start or something. It's just really easy to let our brains get in the way. We get in our own way is what happens. We get in our own way because we start having thoughts come in. We've talked about this before, right? Where we have thoughts come in and somehow we've never been told or taught that we are not our thoughts. We're not our feelings. And we get these thoughts that come in and we don't go, wait. Is that really what I believe about myself? Is that really the direction that I want to move in? Is that really a big deal? Or do I want to let that thought flow on out and decide for myself what I believe about myself, what is true for me, what I'm willing to dip my toes into, and who I'm going to become? Because if I believed that because I'm neurospicy and I've always been a wallflower and I've always been awkward in social situations, and I've only ever had 1 or 2 friends at most at a time in real life, if that's what I believe and that's what I think, or I can't get on video, I can't be polished and perfect, I can't edit my stuff to make it look professional. If I believed those things, it would put a roadblock. I can't be fun in the typical way. I can't. What if I can? And it just looks different. Because the way that I have fun and what's funny to me isn't always funny to everybody else. However, a lot of times, what's funny to me and how I'm funny resonates with my people. It lands with who it's supposed to. And if it doesn't, that's okay. Because again, always growing, always learning, always trying different things, because that's the lifelong journey, is to continue to grow and expand. Because if you're not growing and expanding and you're not learning, you're being stagnant and or moving towards death, which I don't know about you, I don't want. I would rather be here living my best and most fullest life. And that means accepting all of me while also pushing those growth edges instead of doing the whole I can't thing or I'm not enough, I'm not ready, I need this before I can whatever. Those sorts of thoughts and those sorts of words keep you stuck. Instead of when those come into your brain, go, Then you start thinking about outside of the box ideas. How do you pull yourself out of that box so that you can lean further into who you are and who you are meant to be and growing into that person, rather than staying stuck in the coulda, shoulda, wouldas and the I wish and all of that sort of thing that's really not serving you anything other than to keep you safe in the known, which means that you're going to just stay stuck. Because if you're staying safe in the known and you're not pushing those growth edges, you're not going to become the person that you need to be to hold that dream that you have and create what you came here to create and to share with other people and lovely humans. So this one isn't really a long one today. If you need a permission slip, if this is something that you struggle with, to just get on with your badass self and remind yourself of how valuable and how special and how unique you are, and that you did come here with a passion and purpose to share with other people, and that you don't need to give a flying fuck about what anybody else or the world thinks or says, and that part of that magic that you hold that no one else holds, because there's no one else uniquely like you, you have to be able to start dipping your toes into challenging the beliefs, challenging the labels once you've got yourself situated and you're steady and you're wanting to move forward and you're wanting to grow. Labels, again, aren't bad. They're not something that we shouldn't have. There's definitely a pro and a bonus to them. There's a positive thing about labels. I would just wager that it doesn't take too long before you start outgrowing the need for that label. And if it starts becoming an excuse around why you can't do something or why you can't be something, why you can't move forward, that's the moment that you need to sit down and evaluate. Like, what is this serving me? Do I really believe this about myself? What if it's not true? And I have that permission slip. I have it waiting for you. You just drop a comment below or come and join the free space where there's a heck of a lot of amazing humans, both neurospicy and neurotypical, that just don't really jive with the normal way that business is run and how to build a business. And they just want to do their thing without somebody squashing them in the box, and to be able to learn and grow and continue to push those growth edges. It's just a freaking amazing place. And the humans inside bless my socks off every freaking day. So that sounds interesting. Come and join us. If not, like I said, leave a comment. If you'd like to see something else in particular in long form content in the future, leave a comment. And I hope you have a freaking amazing week. And we'll see you on the next one.